All right, just got back from Singapore, Hyrox, and then Melbourne, Hyrox 2 weeks after. I want to take you through training that we did. Bailey and I did pro doubles. In Singapore, we got 56.24. In Melbourne, we got a 56.01. Felt like we ran a lot faster, but it hurt a lot. Yeah, just want to take you through and break down sort of my training program in the lead up to it, what I followed, how I broke my week down, etc., and things like that. So obviously Hyrox is predominantly a running race, if you want to call it that, with the 8 1K run efforts. It's based around compromised running because you've got the workouts in between that. So whilst an aerobic base is super important for Hyrox, and I've been doing this training for 10 or so years in the gym, and then with my rugby background beforehand, I've got a relatively good running base. So I really wanted to build on my speed, so my threshold running, but also my compromised running post the workouts, whether it's the ski, sled, row, burpees, etc. So I broke my week down. I was probably doing 5 or 6 training sessions a week. I'd incorporate 3 to 4 runs depending on my workload. One would be an easy run, that would be early in the week to flush out anything from the weekend. Then look to be a Tuesday, Thursday intervals one day with some hard interval sessions, and then I'd be looking to break Thursday session into some more sort of threshold sessions, and they would be around the 1 to 2, maybe 3 kilometers. Incorporate a long run on the weekend to continue to build that aerobic base, and that would obviously be a relatively easy run. I'd incorporate some hills, rolling hills, where I could run those hills, obviously elevate the heart rate, but be able to keep running and bring that heart rate down under fatigue, but also build some leg strength as well, which is super important for most of the workouts. Those Tuesday sessions would be around the 400 to 800 meter mark, depending on the week. I'd do 400s one week, starting with 8 reps, and really pushing those efforts to a near maximal intensity with that sort of 1-to-1 work to rest ratio. So depending how many of these you've done, you could start with that 1 work to 2 rest ratio. So if it took me a minute, I would have 2 minutes rest, whether that's standing to start with, then you can get into sort of some movement or easy runs in your rest period to be able to bring your heart rate down whilst working. And then the next week I would increase that to 10. The following week I'd increase that to 12. Then I would bring the reps down but increase the distance to the 800 meter mark and start with that 8 again, 10 the following week, and 12 again. Similar to what I did for the 10K, it's really conducive, this training, towards Hyrox. And then Thursday, those threshold interval sessions, I'd be working at 80 to 90% of my max heart rate, which is that kind of threshold, lactate threshold limit. And I would work on 1K efforts, slightly off race pace, a bit slower, and then I would build up to that 3-minute 40 a kilometer, which is sort of my goal for my race, our race, with Bailey. So obviously you need to work in your pairs, so we worked together. That was, Bailey led the run, and I ran at his pace, which isn't far off my pace, and then we broke down the workouts, how we needed to do that. In Singapore, we broke down the workouts. We came in to the ski. We did a couple of 200 meter efforts each, and then finished with a 100 meter effort each. Bailey started those, so I finished them, and then he took off on the run. So I chased him around there. For the sled, we did half a lap each. Bailey started, I finished. Sled pull, similar again, half a lap each. Into the burpees, we did 5 reps each on those, and we just tried to do those sort of as fast as possible. Obviously get that jump, staying quite low, but jumping out and hit the deck straight away, and then push to get up. From there we went into the row. In Singapore, Bailey hit a 200 meter row to start with, and I hit a 300 meter row, and then Bailey hit a 250, and then I hit a 250. In Melbourne, we slightly changed that. He hit a 200 meter row, then I hit a 350, and then he hit a 200, and then I hit a 150. So that's how we broke up the rows. So myself, having a bigger background in running, and I'm able to hold that faster pace for a bit longer than Bailey at the moment. he will be getting there, that's for sure. There's nothing against Bailey's speed and things like that, but that's teamwork, and that's how you got to work together. So he really did push it hard, which was good. And then, you know, coming off these workouts, the sled, the row, where your legs are cooked, it's definitely harder to hold that pace. So it's good to have someone that leads, and then you're just chasing them behind. From there into farmer's carry, Bailey took off to start with, did, you know, whatever he could, which was half a lap, and then I went again, and I tried to get probably 3/4 of a lap to almost a lap, and then give Bailey a bit more, and then myself to finish that off. Again, in the lunges, Bailey's super quick, given his CrossFit background. The boy can move, so I was just trying to keep up with him. We broke it down into 20 lunges each, and then when we got closer to the end, it was half a lap, and then we go again. Then the wall balls in Singapore, I hit the wall balls first. 20 reps for myself, Bailey hit 30, then I hit another 20 to give him some rest, and then he finished it off with a 30 to finish. Melbourne, we hit that slightly different. Bailey went into the wall balls. He hit 40 reps to start. I hit 30 reps to give him a break, and then he finished off the last 30 reps there as well. So in terms of my strength training, I've been following my hybrid program. We've got 2 main lift sessions per week. Both are relatively full body workouts. Big emphasis on leg strength in those, with a bit of a conditioning finisher as well. And then there's always an optional workout come Friday, which is an upper body bench press, which I rarely miss. So thoroughly enjoyed those. And then I would also break my week up and make sure I hit 2 sort of erg-based workouts, and try and incorporate some running in those, so some compromised running as well. One of those workouts would just be longer efforts on the ergs to build that aerobic base on them. Then the next one, bit harder efforts at that threshold intensity with some compromised running on it, and then longer holds and things like that. So my heart rate's high, but I'm ensuring that I'm able to get through the workouts or get onto the run and get moving, whether it's, you know, through the rock zone and things like that, because those things that are really hard to get off the sled and run, but those efforts there, once they accumulate over the race, can really save you some time. In terms of fueling for my Hyrox, leading into that week, I would be training, say the race was Saturday, I would be training, you know, relatively consistently up until about Thursday. Thursday would be my last intensity-based session. For me, I enjoy doing something on a Friday. It was a bit of a shakeout run, 15 to 20 minutes, and then a fair bit of stretching. Through that, I would eat both those 2 days as if I was training with high intensity. So increase in carbs, obviously decrease in output is helping me, you know, carb load throughout those sessions. Thursday, Friday, I would throw in a couple of serves of endurance. So I'd be getting an extra 180 grams of carbs through those drinks and just sipping on those throughout the day or into the evening. Saturday morning in Singapore, we raced at about 6 p.m, I think it was. So a little bit later in the day. So pre-race, I was having 1.5 scoops of performance fuel. That would obviously give me my caffeine, 300 milligrams of caffeine there, 30 grams of carbs, the nootropics and the synactive that I needed to help increase my VO2 max and hold that intensity throughout the race. I would also have a gel, 30 grams of carbs, about 10 minutes before the race. And then both in Singapore and Melbourne, I had a gel just after the sled pull. So finishing the sled pull, have my gel, and then I would be out. That obviously gives me my carbs throughout there, a dose of caffeine as well, to help me push. And for myself, I fuel pretty aggressively with about 120 grams of carbs an hour, being a bit bigger of a guy. So my fueling strategy suits me there. But I do think it's important to have something throughout the race if you can, whether it's a gel. In some of those stations, I would run in and grab a drink of water as well to get myself just a bit of fluids throughout it. Obviously, Singapore was a lot hotter than Melbourne, but for me, I just wet the whistle and give myself something there. So I raced in the Puma DV8 Nitro Elites, my first ever Hyrox. I slipped out of my shoe on the sled, which was an absolute disaster for the rest of my race. But these, super responsive, pretty aggressive, to be honest. I ran in these about a week before Singapore, and I don't have calf muscles as much, but these things were pretty sore running in these. So I enjoy them. They're super responsive, good amount of grip on them as well. And obviously they've got a new Hyrox shoe coming out, which I'm keen to wear and try out, but can't go wrong with these. Apparel, Lululemon, as always. Had my Fast and Free 5-inch shorts on there, which has the pockets on the inside. I have an older pair, and that's where I'd store my gels, obviously for pre-race and then intra-race as well. Post-race, super important. We had big burgers in Singapore, and I think I had Mexican in Melbourne. Your recovery starts straight away, so making sure that you're eating a lot, getting it in, and getting some sleep. I want to do a lot more of these educational sort of posts talking about the why of my training and the process of doing it. So I hope this helped. If you've got any questions regarding any of it, whether it's the training programs, supplements, apparel, etc., send me a message or leave a comment below and I'll get back to you.
Thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching. Hit the like and subscribe button.